camera does is fall over. I had this all set up before, and of course, now it's not. Oh well. This is what you get. Part of the idea is just to help me make stuff, so it's not really about how neat it is. It's distracting me. So this is my morning meditation and drawing. I just got up and I'm trying to, honestly just trying to be awake. I don't feel very awake. It's the start of a big heat wave. We've already had a big heat wave, and now we're going to have more because we need more, right? We need more heat, more freaking heat. So it's not hot yet, but it's coming, and my body's already reacting to it. My body's been reacting to everything. It's so tired of everything and everything and everything. So... well, today I'm definitely feeling like drawing representational things more. Maybe that'll turn out to be something that happens in the rest of the day too. We'll see. For now, it's just where we are with this bit. I technically got sleep. It's just my head is recovering from heat exposure from a few days ago, and it takes me a long time to recover from any kind of heat. So, I'm trying to just cultivate good habits, and start doing these sessions as regularly as possible. It really does help to do the streams, and I don't really know why. So, let's see. Always love me a good eyeball. I was reading Owaspe last night on our Twitch live stream, and that's an interesting book. I don't really know what to make of it yet. Sometimes it seems very authoritarian, and so it's a little hard to figure out exactly where it fits into my kind of world. Anything that purports to be a Bible is usually very authoritarian, though. So it's not like it's surprising or incongruous. It's just, hey, do we really need more of this? Do we need any more of this? So Owaspe kind of tries to explain to you why the cosmos is like it is, not just Earth, but it seems to do so by talking a lot about the history of Earth. So it's very confusing. Like there's no other, I don't know if it actually talks about other places in the cosmos than Earth and its solar system. And like I think that everybody's trying to understand things that aren't on Earth. And I think part of the problem is that all the information we keep on getting is about Earth and what Earth is about. So there's another book I was reading that was a NASA book, like put out by NASA. There was a gathering of scientists in 1971, 72, where Carl Sagan and several other very prominent scientists all had a panel on the likelihood that aliens existed out there somewhere in the universe and were sending us communications already, and that there was a signal we could be tuning into. What would the signal be? What would be on the signal? What information would be carried there? And how much would we be able to understand? How would we be able to understand it? How it would be decoded? How it would best be sent? All of this. How would we reply? This was in the early 1970s, 1971 or 72. And I just think it's a little weird that is around the time that we start up so many generationally timed science projects. As in, I think we already had communication with aliens and they were simply having the debate because they didn't have any other way of talking about the fact that this was already a thing. Like at some point someone says, well, what if there's like some kind of conspiracy to like, what if this is already a thing and the government already knows about it and has been knowing all this time and there's already been a signal and nobody's been talking about it? And Carl Sagan's like, are you telling me that us astronomers, which, there's a very small, tight-knit community of us and all of us know each other and all of us know what each other sees, would be keeping a giant secret from everyone? I mean, there's not very many of us, and we're a very tight-knit group of people who all know each other. So I don't see how you could be saying that there could be some kind of close to the vest kept conspiracy because all the astronomers know each other. And it's like, Carl, you just said how it would happen because all the astronomers know each other. And so all of them can be in on the bit. How much do you think it takes to get access to a world size, like a government size telescope, like the super telescopes that they have in Hawaii, and like I think Argentina has one, maybe Brazil. There's one in South America that is like a very, very prominent one. I just like I said, my brain is literally fried. So like if you can get access to one of those telescopes, good for you. But I mean, it's going to have to be very, very hard to get there. And I wouldn't be surprised if there were a lot of close-knit, close-kept secrets about what actually goes on when you look through the telescope. What actually goes on in your head when you look through the telescope. What kind of signal you're really receiving. Because, dude, astronomy people all act new agey and out there. But they all act cagey. So I would not be surprised if there were some kind of thing where they were hiding something. And so it was a very interesting book. And one of the things it pretty much acknowledges is that there's a lot of scientists in the early 70s who think that we, and by we, I mean Earth, the entire planet Earth, are receiving an entire planet Earth size signal from somewhere out in space that's not our solar system. An entire planet-sized signal. Now, I think that there's some other answers to this. I think, for instance, what if there's something either within the solar system or within the Earth itself that we haven't been talking to for who knows how many years? Millions of years? Thousands? I don't know. Like, basically the Atlantis theory. But, I mean, there's got to be something. And it's coming from somewhere. So there's a signal that we're getting, and it's happening all the time, and we're getting it all the time. And I know that it's probably causing lots of personal awakenings within people. I see a lot of people doing like YouTube videos where they're like, I'm getting personal awakenings, and I did not expect to be the person who said that. And I am right there with you. This is not my kind of thing I was expecting to have myself. I was expecting to have some kind of other personal awakening, but not the way that I've been having it. This is not the stuff that I'm not going to say initially believed, but it was not the stuff that I thought was most likely to be the thing that was going on. This was not what I voted for as what I thought was most likely to happen. But it is happening. And so the beam, we're getting these communications, call them the beams. When you get the beam, what do you do with it? What is it for? Is this for us to build something out of? Is it for us to learn something from? Is it part of something else we can't comprehend yet? Are we misinterpreting? Is there a cultural exchange, and if so, what are we exchanging in response? Also, it's so hard to get the information that, like, hey, there's something big out there, it's something for everyone could be a part of, it could change the entire universe, and then look at the world that we're in, you know? It's just, I'm not going to say what's the point, but it's so strange right now. It's just so strange. So, if there's a signal that's trying to enlighten everyone, then what is it really for? I think it's a carrier signal, and that the communication along it, while rather nice and all rather useful, is probably the equivalent of like their alphabet, like their greatest hits, Sunday morning, like Saturday morning cartoon shows. I don't know. Like, I don't think that this is the great knowledge of the cosmos. I think it's like the ABCs of the cosmos, and we're still trying to learn our ABCs. But also, I think that maybe whoever is sending the signal doesn't know how much else we actually know what's going on here. They just sent us like the generic welcome wagon signal without really checking in on whether or not that was appropriate for us. I don't think that this is a planet that is looking for first contact right now. But on another level, I know it's a planet that's looking for first contact. And that's the scary part, is that we are looking to communicate right now, but we're in planet wise, we're in a very delicate and dangerous state. So who's going to talk to us right now? Is it going to be a conflict resolution expert? Um, who would want to talk with us right now? Who would be qualified? Who would be allowed? If we're having so much war right now, like, how would we be contacted? And whom of us would be contacted? I mean, you might get the president getting a lot of contact from aliens right now because of like the war stuff, but you wouldn't necessarily get all of us on the ground, except as far as I can tell, it's aimed at everyone at once. Everyone can get it. There is no there's no limiting it. The only thing that limits how much you can get this signal is actually your economic place on the totem pole. Like, your class allows you to more like access this more or less, because the signal, you get it easier when you're in the sky. So business travelers, people on airplanes a lot, they've been getting this all the time. And I mean, people who can fly on airplanes a lot, that's a certain wealthy sector of the American populace right now. And as it happens, there's less and less air travel right now. And I find that kind of weirdly coincidental, that right now you don't want to go on an airplane, even if it's just for fun, because you might catch COVID. And it's just really frustrating. This is right whenever I would want to just get on a plane and just draw. Like, there's been times where I have just taken out a drawing pad on an airplane, and I have drawn some of the most interesting, insightful stuff. I have written amazing things. I have gotten amazing signals while being in airplanes, and I think it's because it's just so far up that I'm getting more of the broadcast than people usually get. So it's not that I absolutely must have and need and want and will continue to pursue the signal. It's that I know there's a signal out there, but I don't know if it's the only one, and I don't know what it's for, and I don't know if there's a better way to be accessing it than what we're doing now. I just know that, like, the most part, every human on this earth, or every communication to a human on this earth, seems to be saying, like, hey, open up your mind, eat less meat, um take down your defenses and stop being so automatically judgmental and attacking. And it's like, on the one hand, I understand how that would be a lot better for doing psychic communication, but on the other hand, you sound like everything a psychic invader from outer space would say to convince us to do stupid things. Like, I hope we manage to meet in the middle sometime, or get some better communication that gets it across a little bit more what's actually happening. I hope the American, not just the American populace, I mean the public. I mean the entire world public, the global people, everyone, not just rich people, not just educated people, not just people who can afford good policing in their city or whatever, but I want everyone to be able to get this signal and understand it. Otherwise, what's the meaning? Otherwise, they're just perpetuating something that they've never even encountered or understood. They're just letting all this world's problems become even worse while they purport to elevate us. I think that's one of the most frustrating things, is that whenever you tune into this signal, a lot of it is like, we're going to elevate mankind, and we're going to elevate your planet and help you communicate in a new millennium, in the new era. And it's like, yes, but have you noticed what's going on here? Or, like, are you just totally ignoring that? Um, there are often communications like, if you raise your energy's vibration, then you won't have so many bad things happen to you. And it's like, that's judgmental. And it just, look, I have tried some power positive thinking stuff. I have tried it empirically. It doesn't work. There are some positive thinking stuff, like there is some positive thinking stuff that does work, but you can get bad circumstances in someone's life, and it has nothing to do with the fact that they're depressed. And telling them to act less depressed is not going to make them be less oppressed by the space around them. At some point, you have to accept that something is going on that people don't understand, and the signal is exacerbating it. It is not curing it. I'm not saying the signal needs to stop or it's a bad thing, but I think that whoever sent the signal is acting irresponsible. I don't think that they actually checked in on the upkeep over here, and I don't think they're seeing what the effects are on this planet. I think humans operate a lot differently than is understood over here, or that Earth itself is way different than the rest of the galaxy understands. For instance, I think that our brains, our organic wetware, are able to pick up on these signals without any kind of augmentation whatsoever. The scientists in the panel I was reading were all very adamant that it was a radio signal, and you'd have to have some kind of radio technology to be able to pick up on it. But that would mean that you were limited technology-wise. There was still a class limitation over who would be able to get the signal. But what if it's not just radio? What if you could just get it by being a psychic who's tuning into whatever? So, is the signal good? I'm not sure if there's really a good classification for this type of stuff, and I don't think good or bad is exactly what it is. For instance, for all I know, this is like the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil that means that we're not allowed in the garden anymore. But this place doesn't seem very garden-like now anymore, does it? And I think that moment's long flown. This is an interesting composition. I haven't been thinking about it. I've just been drawing. I don't really know what it's all about. I just know lots and lots of eyeballs keep showing up. Like, what if it was an automated signal and there was no one else on the other side? And it was just AIs on the other side? Like, what if we had no understanding of who it is that we're communicating with? If it's totally automated because this is like, broadcasting to all levels of the galaxy, then we've just been talking to help text the entire time. And it's no one's fault. But if that's the case, I think we need to gain some understanding of it so we stop wasting everyone's time. I really think that people have been trying to give alien teacher AIs careers on YouTube. Legends of Bothario, who can tell you signals from across space and time. Timeless wisdom of the Tibetan monks of AOA. The Book of Holy Pasta. Like, there's so many gurus right now. There are so many people who are like, I have the cosmic signal, and the cosmic signal says that you should listen to me and be awakened. And it's like, yeah, but everyone's saying that. Why is everyone saying that? Like, it's always the same thing, even though it's coming from completely different places. I'm never expecting this. I collect these kinds of books, like Brotherhood of Light, Freemasons, Rosicrucians, Shriners, Sisters of Pythia, let's see, Brotherhood of Mu, Lemurian Brotherhood. There's always a brotherhood. Like, all of them, and a lot of them are people who know each other. Like in the times that the stuff was coming out in the early 1900s, these were people who talked to each other at the same, conventions, and then went and did their separate little projects. And this one was Lemurian Brotherhood, and this one was Temple of Light, and this one was Freemasonry extra thick. So is there a time when all of these converge into something that becomes meaningful in a different way? Or do these simply just persist as their own little separate parts of the world, and no one really knows why? No one understands why. Because everyone's acting in these societies like there is something that they're in on and they understand that they're working towards, that there's a reason to keep going, to be honest. And that's a nice positive thing I think everybody could use. But if that's the case, then why like this? And when I say that, I wonder just how many attempts there have been by non-Earth life or inter-Earth life that's not part of the surface life, by other life than humans. How many attempts have there been by other life than humans to contact humans, and Earth's governments have gotten in the way? Like, how much of this has been national security completely getting in the way of any progress whatsoever? I really think that is what is happening. That our security apparatuses are so overtuned that we're like, oh my gosh, that must be the Chinese testing out their new weapon. And it's like, no, stop making everything about your stupid war. No one actually wants to kill off the entire population of the other country. They just want grain and oil. Like, have you ever played Civilization? Have you ever played SimCity? Everyone just needs resources. certain people have managed to gain power by always controlling the resources, and therefore they're never going to give up on that power because that's been their entire lifestyle and their entire way of knowing existence. So figure out a way to make it work instead of just perpetuating the system. Like, I don't know how an alien would look in at all of this from outside, and like, how do you play? You have to be neutral. I mean, it's not your planet, but how do you deal with it when so many people are obviously in pain and in hurting? Especially when we're always praying to space for like a hero or a savior or a god or something. I just really hope that something gets through soon, that we start talking in Congress about stuff that's more exciting than the last time that somebody decided to interrupt a senator with a protest. I think that the insurrection stuff is really important. It's just that I don't think it's so important that we tune out everything else on the face of the planet. And I'm a little tired of everything being controlled by what's the prime time viewing hours, what the TV stations need from this. Like, okay, yeah, could you hold back until we get the cameras right? It's like, no. If you're not ready to take pictures, then go home. If you don't have your cameras already, then you were too late to begin with, and it's somebody else's opportunity to capture this moment. I hope that when aliens show up, the entire mainstream media is caught with their pants completely down. I hope when the revolution comes, it's broadcast on YouTube. It's on TikTok. It's on Twitch. None of them are going to be able to catch it because they're too busy trying to improve the branding of their own station and improve their ad clicks and make sure that they get something out of this too. And it's like the entire point is that humanity as a whole gets something out of this. Nobody ever needed to profit from any of this. The entire point was that what this is in itself inherently valuable, and any species should be able to recognize that. It's very frustrating watching politics, but it's also been pretty informative and illuminating. So, I really hope that what comes next is good, because I think that there's a lot of good that we could be doing right now if humanity actually could be in contact with someone truly from the outside. And I just hope that we don't miss that opportunity because of someone's overreactive, innate fear of change. It's kind of nice to get that out. I felt very frustrated about all of this. It's like it's all a good thing in my opinion. I think that the signal is good, and that the fact the signal is happening is wonderful. It's just so frustrating that it's not something that's very easy for us as a species to do, at least from our POV. Like, for all I know, we're faster than anyone else who's cracked it open. But gosh, I don't know. I wonder if whoever's sending the signal even knows that people like myself and other humans without any kind of gigantic radio tower are able to get this signal and are able to interpret it. Like, I don't even know if any of this was intended, or if humanity is one of the the most famous accidents of all time in all the cosmos. It's just really hard to tell. I feel a little bit better taking on the day now. Just when you can't figure out how to even get the big signal from the radio tower of the everything, then it's a little hard to figure out how to even take out the garbage, you know? My body's starting to wake up, though. I'm probably going to be ready to get up, take out the trash, do the week's cleanup, stuff like that. And it's been really good to have art here to help me get up, to help me wake up. I don't know what my dreams are like. I don't know if this has anything to do with my dreams. I was recently sleeping, so for all I know, this right here is something I was seeing or experiencing or doing. But it certainly is interesting, isn't it? I feel like adding color. I wonder when there's like a big signal from the galaxy signal, if like some music artist comes out with like a big single. Like if you could actually track the signal to Kendrick Lamar's Pulitzer winning album. Like if you could see any of the big filmmakers, like any of the things that the successes that they've had, if any of it's from the signal. And you know, I wonder if there's some of them that don't want anyone to know that, because I would readily admit, like, hey, I think that the insights I've been getting, they're from somewhere else. But there's a lot of people who wouldn't, who would want to say, no, this was always mine all along, no one else's. And sometimes I wonder if what's getting in the way of humanity's next step is less a tyrannical military and more just someone's ego. I mean, ego, I think, is the most powerful obstructor on this planet. And it doesn't have to be. I don't think ego is necessarily bad. It's just that it's not a reason to do things. I like it with just that touch of color. I think that adds the right amount of mystery, and I'd like to go with that. Except I want, let's see if I have a gray. I don't want to use a metallic. Gray or grayish. I might just use this blue. I want a shadow underneath this. It'll take me a little bit, but I feel like it's part of the drawing. It's kind of good practice. It's been a while since I've done something like this where I just shade the underside. The trick is to just make sure that you're only ever going underneath and to only get those spots. It can be kind of hard to tell sometimes, but it's about paying attention instead of only following the lines. Paying attention to the lines while you follow them. I think it's the biggest thing about the signal is that you're supposed to drop out and not pay attention, but also use some sort of focus to be able to keep following what's actually important. And it's hard to do the both. So I think that the meditation stuff is one way of doing that. It's like guiding your focus, but not letting it be pulled along too wildly by any one fish. It's about keeping your hook in the stream, but never letting the fish actually take the bait, and maybe not trying to pull in a fish. It's about trying to keep the fish off your hook. It's the goal of never lifting your hook out of the water as a fisherman. That what you're really catching is the water itself. Once you catch a fish, you've lost the water. People are so focused on getting fish, they're missing the value of the water itself. I mean, essentially, what if someone else is streaming and that's what the signal is? It's not pre-recorded. Sagan and the others were saying it would have to be pre-recorded. It couldn't be live. That's according to the physical constraints that they knew at the time. And this is almost exactly 50 years ago. So what if the signal actually is alive or is live? What if it's much more responsive to what and who is on this planet than we understand? And what if it's made to order, customized? And we're customizing it in ways that we don't know because we've never been given the manual for how to make it any different. It's not just about receiving what's on the signal and taking it down word for word. It's not about interpreting it either. It's about being able to change the channel. We're stuck on default. I think that humanity's signal is stuck on default, and it's why we keep on getting such weird generic stuff. And we could be getting much cooler, more interesting stuff, and sometimes we do. No one knows how those people do it. And then everybody gets mad at them for doing something different, but not saying how. It's like, well, how do you change the channel? I guess first you have to build the radio. First you have to build the mechanism that receives. You have to build a receiver. To build a receiver, to be able to change the wavelength you're receiving on. So there needs to be some kind of spirit radio first, receiver, and then from there you should be able to change the channel until you can get to the proper two-way communication band. I bet the signal itself, if it's live and if it's responsive, it's probably like the galaxy's biggest group chat. Like Galaxy Internet. Prism StarNet Home Edition. I mean, for all I know, humanity's been tuning into the channel with all the snow on it all this time. All right. I think this is done. Here's what it looks like. Very interesting result. I'd like to kind of contrast that against yesterday's stuff, actually. Because yesterday, I started out with this color experiment mostly. A little bit of outline in here. Kind of a woman handling platters, juggling spinning plates. And then there was this, which I feel is a little bit more about particles and Large Hadron Collider. So these two are very abstract. And today we have something that's still extremely abstract, but much more in the representational zone of abstract than before. And also a bit more painstaking in the detail. So, all right, stream's wrapped up. Thanks for watching. Be chill, y'all.